Alrighty, we're back. We're back. It is time for the top 5 units in Warhammer 3 that I think need nerfs in any upcoming patches. To start us off, we will go with the Vampire Count's Crypt Horrors, who received a good amount of buffs coming into Warhammer 3, and we think those are rather unnecessary. Now, if you think that Crypt Horrors shouldn't be number 5 on this list, I think I have pretty decent arguments for everything ahead of them, but leave your thoughts in the comments, I guess. It was a tough between this one and number 4. But when I look at the number 1 slots and stuff, I just don't think that Crypt Horrors really stack up. They trade pretty well into infantry, pretty decently into monstrous infantry, well into cav. Overall, Crypt Horrors for 900 gold do have their own regeneration. Poison, armor piercing, decently high leadership, though they only have 30 armor. They have a ridiculously high health pool, to be fair. But they mostly rely on the Vampire Count's buffs from Corpse Carts to give them +5 melee defense and melee attack, to give them perfect vigor, that kind of thing. Plus, the Vampire Counts have constant other regeneration auras, so most games that you see Crypt Horrors, you'll see them heal cap out. But on their own, taking them just for themselves, you can't factor in all the auras per se. Just on their own, I think they make number 5 on this list. If you included all the auras, they would maybe be in spot number 1 or 2, but that's not nerfing Crypt Horrors, is it? That's nerfing Vampire Count's auras. So Crypt Horrors, even on their own, I still think make this list, which is actually still a testament to their prowess. They're fighting Ushabti right now, but for the same cost, these units have the same cost, they just way outclass the Ushabti in stats. And yeah, that self-regeneration on a unit that has pretty high leadership, and even if it starts to take damage, it'll just crumble, is kind of a problem. Also, Khalida is giving Vlad some hell, but this battle will be over soon enough. Crypt Horrors, very strong, very good units. Coming in at number 4 on our list is going to be the dreaded Scourge Runner Chariot. In the meta, Dark Elves are near the top with the Undead and Chaos factions, and there's only 2 reasons they're up that high. Scourge Runner Chariots and Soul Stealer on Malekith. Scourge Runner Chariots with their armor-piercing anti-large missiles and their high speed of 84, they can just delete any elite cavalry in the game. The Knights of the Brazen Throne with 130 armor are no match for the Scourge Runner Chariots, and they're already at half HP, 20 seconds into the game, and just 2 volleys, that last one going for the infantry character. Now things get a little derpy as the Scourge Runner Chariots are going to start shooting an infantry character. They don't do nearly as much damage to them. They need to focus on the Knights of the Brazen Throne, but since they're trying to walk away, they're losing their attack orders onto the Knights. But Scourge Runner Chariots in general, very strong at poking out lords, poking out flying units, poking out cavalry. They're very, very fast. They can get away from most things, and as with most skirmish chariots in the game right now, they don't really take any damage in melee. Not too much. A lot of models will just ping off of them, or the damage will get spread out, so they won't lose any models. So they'll get very, very low on HP, and they'll have 4 out of 4 models, which means they can do 100% damage capacity. And after they run out of ammunition, they can just cycle charge infantry forever. Now again, the chariots are kind of ignoring my orders, but the Knights of the Brazen Throne are taking a ton of damage. They are getting some decent shots down to the Scourge Runners, but they will be taken out in short order. And thinking about it, Scourge Runner Chariots, all 3 of them are about as much gold as this one Knights of the Brazen Throne, and they are kicking its ass. This Scourge Runner is going to tear out, but note, it is still at 4 out of 4 models, meaning it has full damage capacity. Scourge Runners, the only downside to them is their limited ammunition, which is probably the only reason most people can even beat Dark Elves is Scourge Runners run out of ammo very, very quickly. In a minute and 40 seconds, these guys have burned through over half of their ammo, but it was well worth it as the Knights of the Blazing Throne are, just delete them. There's only 8 models left. These Scourge Runners are at 12 out of 12. Hooray. Scourge Runner Chariots, number 4 on the list. They would be higher, but their ammunition is limited. That's really the only downside. God, that unit's good. Nerf, please. Please, God, nerf. This is where I could see the most contention. The choice between 2 and 3 is the toughest. One thing I forgot to mention at the start of the video while this loads in. We're doing units, not lords. So, there's lords that might need a nerf, for sure, or buffs, but those aren't as interesting to talk about because they usually dominate the conversation, so we're focusing on units. In case you're like, can't believe fucking Sigvald and Kugath aren't on this list. It's like, yeah, we got that. But this is about units. Bombers in both their forms, the bats and the ground-based infantry units. Bomber bats and bomber troops have just done so much damage recently. You see, even with the limited capacity of 24 bombers, they did this much damage on the initial volley to shielded low armor, no shield, and even shielded high armor units. Bombers and bomber bats are clearing out infantry at a ridiculous rate. The explosion damage changed in Warhammer 3. They do a lot more damage than they used to, and that's part of the reason Poison Globes do so much damage these days. Even though their wind over time effect got nerfed into the dirt, it's all about that initial explosion damage. So after one volley, all these units lost about a third of their health, and on a second volley, I think most of them will be dead. The ground-based version of these troops can do more damage quicker, because they have a lot more models, but usually the aerial version is a little bit safer, and you can harass archers with it and such like that. But 2 volleys, and this Marauder is already routing. 2 volleys, half health Berserker, 2 volleys, half health Marauder champs, and the third volley just about takes them out. But in a minute, 20 seconds, the Norskin elite front line has been reduced to nothingness by these bombers, who could, if we had a gunnery wipe, could get even more ammo as the game goes on. They could chase off archers and stuff, but you have seen in the High Elf or Empire matchups versus Coast recently at the top levels, they'll just bomber bats will chase around archers and just fight them straight up, because one archer volley doesn't do that much damage to them, and then a volley from them kills an entire archer. It's brutal. Explosion damage is not okay. Please nerf, but it was a tough choice between this and number 2. Coming right up! Number 2 is a bit of a weird one, and it requires a lot of context. You might wonder, Jade Warriors are over here. Are they on this list? Are they number 1? No, they didn't make the list. And why is that? Same reasoning as the Crypt Horrors. Without Harmony, Jade Warriors aren't actually that great. Like, they're good. They're still good, but they aren't that crazy busted. And Harmony is the thing that makes them so ridiculously stupid. They themselves didn't quite make it to this list. They were definitely like my number 6. They were there, but I just cut them for the Crypt Horrors. Without Harmony, these guys are beatable. With it, they're crazy, but again, that would be a nerf on Harmony, not a nerf on Jade Warriors specifically, which they do need a nerf, but they didn't quite make this list. No, I think the Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh do need nerfs. I think they are number 2 on this list. It was a hard choice between them and the Bombers, but while these guys relentlessly whip on the Jade Warriors, these units cost the same amount of gold, 500 gold apiece. Now, Jade Warriors have defensive stance, battle harmony of Yang, and formation attack. Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh get ITP, charge reflection, expert charge defense, strider, so they can fight in water just as fine as elsewhere, and 10% physical resist because of the Mark of Slaanesh. I think the Mark of Slaanesh is ridiculous, but applied to a front line, it is extra ridiculous. Plus, their stats are just jacked. 32-38 on a 500 gold unit. I mean, the Jade Warriors without their harmony are 24-36, and they are usually the meme about how to get like crazy high stats. Devoted Marauders can do even better than that. Now, this is the Hell Scourge variant, which is another reason I think this unit is OP at the top of the list. All 3 variants of Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh are 500 gold, so they're interchangeable. You can have spears for anti-large and the charge defense, charge reflection. You can have Hell Scourges for charge defense, charge reflection, and plus melee defense, or you can have the basic sword variant for anti-infantry, and still ITP and all those things, though the sword variant does not have charge defense, charge reflection. In case you were worried I was just biased to showing you the Hell Scourges, you can see the basic Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh without Sigvald helping can still beat the Jade Warriors even faster than the Hell Scourges, though they also take more damage than the Hell Scourges did due to their lower melee defense. But 34 melee attack, 28 melee defense, plus a bonus versus infantry is pretty wild. And what is their bonus versus infantry anyway? 7. It's still not that crazy, but they can beat Jade Warriors without harmony just fine. And the final thing I'll say about the Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh, not just comparing them against Jade Warriors, but also comparing them against Marauders of Khorne with dual weapons. This unit is 75 gold more expensive than the Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh. So it is a better unit on paper. They both have anti-infantry, but the Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh are just better. Their ITP definitely helps them out. Ooh, and Marauders of Khorne even have Frenzy, but it will not be enough to overcome the Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh, as they do push off those boys. 527 value. Meanwhile, Marauders of Khorne dual weapons got 365, and Sigvald was focusing mostly on on the Herald, but yes. So, Slaanesh has cheaper Marauders than Khorne, still better than him, better Marauders than Tzeentch, better Marauders than Nurgle. They are the best Marauders in the game. They can beat Jade Warriors. They're ITP. They're ITP! All of them! All 500 gold variants are ITP with Strider. They are crazy, but they are not the best unit in the game. Best unit in the game right now belongs to a B-tier faction. They are not even on one of the Undead or Chaos rosters. Best unit in the game, in my opinion, would be the War Wagons. War Wagons, 875 gold, very similar to Scourge Runner Chariots. They're armor-piercing 300 missile strength, plus their 66 speed can get them out of most jams. And in melee, their models have a lot of issues taking damage. If you surround them, they will usually just roll out, and as long as they're rolling out, they can just fire at you the entire time. They do a ridiculous amount of damage, which would be fine if they were fragile or catchable in any way, but Scarbrand is going to walk up and start hitting these War Wagons. On a roster like the Empire, they easily get Earthbloods to heal them up, all things like that. Instead, they just roll away from Scarbrand. And yeah, even though they have 66 speed and he has 80, he will have a tough time actually catching them. Just kind of wanders around for a little bit, but they can just roll dirty, roll away from everything, and they do so much damage. I have surrounded them in Questing Knights before, and they took very little damage and rolled out, and shot the Questing Knights on the way out, just killing them. War Wagons are insane, but a lot of the same things apply to the Scourge Runner Chariots, and the Scourge Runners are even better in melee, so what makes War Wagons better than them, human boy? If all the things are the same, except the Scourge Runners are better in melee, why are Scourge Runners 4 on this list and War Wagons are number 1? War Wagons have way more ammunition. Those War Wagons killed Scarbrand with all 3 of them shooting him, and they had barely used maybe a quarter of their ammunition, so they could have done that 3 more times. Scourge Runners would have used all their ammos doing that, and Scourge Runners are still good. No, War Wagons are insane. They either need less ammo, or they need to fix chariot models so these guys actually take damage in melee combat, but at their current status, War Wagons, in my opinion, the unit in need of the most nerfs in the entire game. It's kind of a mouthful, but yeah, these guys, the Sons of Sigmar, way too good right now. Way, way, way too good. The rest of the roster is pretty meh. It's fine. But these guys, insane. Alright, that was the list. If you don't like it, I don't know, man. Post what you think is the most OP in the comments, but be nice about it. Come on. At least have, like, good reasons, but don't just, like, shit all over mine for no reason. Like, wow, you're a dumb idiot. You don't know how to play the game. It's like, alright, dude. Do you know how many replays I watch to make content and live content and tournaments? Alright, I see a lot of these units. They're very good. You can have your opinions, but be nice. Fucking people. Roar. Subscribe, yes, yes.